That's how Italy works. And then you come here, and although society is nuts in a positive way. People here have a dream until they freaking die, okay? And they try pursuing it. Yes, there are consumerism. Yes, there are problems. But you're dreamers until you die, and I love it. I love it. And you have opinions, and you back them with your guns. I love it.
It is the best.
It's just funny. It's funny, the way you tell the story and everything.
Funny how?
Come here, though. Yeah, he's crazy, see? Who are you?
We interrupt this program to bring you a special report.
Are you ready?
Guys, I gotta salute you because we're doing a live. I'll check in later. Ciao ragazzi. Ciao. Yeah, I was live, but then I realized, no shit, people are not gonna hear anything from your side, so that's fine.
Oh shit, you're live? Oh yeah, all right. Nice. Next time.
I was live. Yeah, you people just saw how I was panicking about the.
But that's the real authentic content that we all crave. So.
Exactly. So you are Tony. Are you Italian or something?
Yeah, part Italian. My father is, and my mother's.
Okay.
So, the good half is Italian.
Have you ever been?
No, man. It was actually going to be, we booked a trip, my wife and I, and we were like this close to doing it. And then we found out she's pregnant, which is good. Good problem to have.
That's beautiful. Wow.
Yeah. So we're going to postpone it until the little one is probably like 2, okay. So she's still free. She'll still be free on the plane, but, we'll be able to kind of take her and but so there's just on their side.
Malemmo.
Yeah. So that's like
grandmother.
I've always wanted to go here. It's, especially, Sicily in particular, it's very underrated from what I hear.
It's nice. No,
you're
gonna love it.
So obviously you're from Italy, but do you live there now?
I live in America.
You live in America, okay.
I live in Virginia.
Okay.
I've been here for 5 years. I lived a little bit all around the world, but now I'm establishing here. I like it.
And Virginia is beautiful. We used to go there all the time. Actually, my wife's brother lives in Virginia, and I think it's Norfolk.
Norfolk, yep.
Yeah.
That's where my sister used to study. Yep.
Oh yeah, it's beautiful out there. So much to do, and everyone's like, chill, and it's military base, so it's a lot of family, a lot of community, a lot of good things there. Versus like Florida, which is where I'm at. And it's
where are you at in Florida?
So kind of, are you familiar with it?
I used to date a girl from Jacksonville, which I used to go often. St. Augustine, Amelia Island.
Jacksonville. I'm surprised that didn't work out. From Jacksonville. Shout out my Jacksonville fans. No, I'm in Tampa. So technically I'm in Apollo Beach, which is a little bit south of Tampa. But I lived in Tampa for a long time, and I was pretty much born and raised in Orlando. I lived all over the place, all over the country, but then I moved to Tampa a few years back, probably like 6-7 years ago. And have you been to Tampa?
Not yet. I will be there end of May.
Ooh. Yeah, if you got some time.
I will also be in Orlando.
If you got some time, let's meet up, man. I'll show you some Tampa, man. Tampa's a good time.
If you want to do an in-person podcast, I have a group of 7 international Italians with me.
Fuck yes. Let's have all 7 on. You guys can just speak Italian, and I will say nothing. It will just be
Babidi booby.
Scusi, ciao. Yeah, that's all I'll say. But yeah, man, it's Tampa's cool. But we moved out of there probably like 3 years ago when the market started getting kind of squirrely. So I've had to give you some context because I know you're in real estate, so I want to talk to you about that. So my first house I bought when I was in my 20s in Orlando, and that was when the market was beautiful. This was, 7 years ago? I think I bought my 2000.
How old are you?
I'm 38 next month.
Ma vaffanculo, ma che te 38?
Why, how old are you?
Be my son.
Come on.
I'm 27. I thought you were my age.
Oh, motherfucker. Yeah. All right. Well, that's good. That makes me look good. I'm also covering up my hair, so, I look younger than what I am. But, yeah. And, I'm like 5'3", so when you see me, you're going to think, oh, yeah, he's like in his 20s. No, man, I'm 38. But I bought my first house in Orlando for like $130, maybe. Interest rate was like 3.25.
Yep.
So it was just beautiful. And then I ended up proposing to my now wife. We bought our second home in Tampa. I got promoted from my old job. We rented out Orlando for a few years, got some great
Yep.
passive. And then we bought our third home, which is here in Apollo Beach. And then we sold the other two last year. And bro, it was like the perfect time to sell, right when it started dipping.
Yep.
So yeah, it's been great, but we're glad we're out of Tampa because when you come, you'll notice you're 27, so you're gonna love it. But like for me, I was over Tampa. I was over the clubbing, the partying, the spending a bunch of money, Starbucks on every corner, that type of shit. I was about done with that. So now I'm in like a cool little older community, like 40s to like 60s.
Okay.
That's where people are, and everyone's got a golf cart. But everyone has a house that's in their 30s, and it's a good time out here. So I definitely want to get back to Tampa and maybe start a business there and buy a couple of properties when it makes sense. But yeah, it's nice over here, man. You're gonna love it.
We'll see. And you do this. This is now your thing, or you're doing it with a company, the podcast?
All me, brother.
All you.
Yeah, I actually own a content business. So
Okay.
so I do UGC content for brands. And then I also host a podcast, but I'm a podcast coach. So I'll teach people everything from conception, coming up with the idea, channel art, video editing, producing, hosting. So I kind of do all that. So that's my whole
We might have to talk about that.
Yeah, why are you thinking about starting one up with your 7 Italian friends? You should.
I would like to invite people. I believe you cannot really allocate me on any direction, and I'm very controversial throughout the entire spectrum.
That's beautiful.
And I believe, especially in America, that is like perfect.
Yeah, that's what you need. Well, listen, man, I've followed you for quite some time. Love your content.
Okay.
For a lot of reasons. A, because you're Italian, and I've always wanted to go to Italy. So anybody that is from Italy or is in that space, it's always interesting to hear Italy versus America, because it's always the same conversation.
Yep.
Which is America, we're a bunch of stuck up fat pricks, and versus like in Italy and other parts of Europe where it's just like, oh, so things are normal over there. Of course, there's pros and cons with everything, but when you come to America, I would imagine the the shock of like how obsessive we get with certain things, and over there, you guys are like, forget it, man. Let's have some vino during lunch and relax. Like, what are you doing? Like, it's just so interesting to hear your perspective. So I'm digging it, man. You put out some good shit for sure.
I'm glad it resonates a little.
Yeah, for sure. Well, it resonates a lot, man. You got a lot of followers that listen to you. So, like, how'd you get into this thing? How'd you get into? Did you just pick up the phone one day and was like, "Let me just talk about it"?
It's funny. So I have a younger brother. He is 9 years younger than me, and I started TikTok 2 years ago. But 4 years ago, when TikTok came out, he was like, "Yo, you should check this out," and this and that. And there are two things involved. Number one, the whole thing of TikTok is for kids, and this was 4 years ago. And the second one, he was my brother. You know how it works: younger brother, older brother. There's some pride. I was like, nah, he's bullshitting. That's stupid. And then, as I saw that my brother was going viral for the most basic videos, I was like, you know what? 2 years later, when I chose to leave my job at Lamborghini to start doing a full-time real estate, I said, you know what? Let me try. It started out as a joke. I was trying to copy people, what they were doing. Yes, sure. It was growing, but it wasn't mine. And then as I started being a little bit more myself and saying what I thought, people started resonating. I was like, oh, Mama, okay. Chill out. And I said, you know what?
And by the way, not to interrupt you, but that's why people loved seeing you look with your headphones and like, what am I doing? What am I doing? Because that's just you. That's what makes TikTok so beautiful. It's just the more you are, the bigger your following is going to get. It's fascinating.
The beautiful thing of TikTok is, and it's also the general approach to it. If you are yourself, people look at you like you're talking to them. Literally. Okay. And the amount of times I get approached by people on the streets seeing me as like, I know this guy, and approaching me like I'm just a normal guy is beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
They don't see you as somebody who's not reachable. They see you as a normal human being because you've been talking to them as you were in front of them the whole
That's
time.
right.
That
That's
is
right.
beautiful.
Yeah, it's rare, that's for sure. And you think with like social media as a whole, because it's not a new thing, obviously, right? Because 20 years old, I think, is maybe Facebook, and MySpace was before that. So like people are always familiar and used to the whole concept of like social media. But TikTok is the first time that I think people could feel comfortable being themselves, because it gives us an escape from everything else. That to me is the most fascinating thing when I go on both platforms. And I even see myself, right, like trying to do it where now I'm posting the same content on Instagram as I do on TikTok, because I have a bigger following on TikTok than Instagram. Or excuse me, I have a bigger following on Instagram than I do TikTok, because I'm kind of new to TikTok as well. And similar to yourself, I was trying to do certain things that I thought were trendy, and now I'm starting to do me on TikTok. But I notice I don't do that on Instagram, and I catch myself every now and then where I'm like, "Ooh, should I do this? Should I do that?" And I'm like, "Man, fuck it! Like, just copy what TikTok's working." Because even me as a consumer, I go on TikTok and I look for stupider the better. And by stupider, I don't mean like IQ lower. I mean like things that make me laugh, things that make me think, things that get me exploring new ideas. But
Yes.
Instagram, I'm kind of like scrolling and I'm like, oh, I see fucking Kardashian and I see Cardi B, and I'm just like, ugh, what is happening? All this fake stuff,
It's more curated,
Mm,
which
great
I
way to
do
put
not
it.
like
Yeah.
because I see a lot with my brother, also a lot of the youngers. You look at Instagram and you think that is the reality of the world, when what you
Mm,
see on Instagram is literally 0.1% of population.
mm.
And then you go on TikTok and you see something that is a little bit more real. You see the guy in pajama talking to you. You don't see somebody in a three-piece suit, all elegant. It depends.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's so
So it's a
true.
little bit more real. So I
Yeah.
started playing with that. It started growing. My initial goal was to grow an audience to help me with my business and my future nonprofit goals.
Mm,
But starting from this year, TikTok monetized me,
mm.
and now I'm doubling down. I am
Good for you.
what I am spraying and praying. I post 10, 20 videos a day.
Yeah.
I post more than the average marketing team does in a week, and it's
Yeah.
going. It's
Yeah.
going.
That's awesome. That's all.
Like, how do you grow? Just spam. Just go.
Just fucking flood it. I mean, I think that's how initially I started following you, as I kept fucking seeing you on my feed, and I'm like, Jesus, I'll follow this guy. Obviously, TikTok wants me to. So, but are you noticing that has helped you grow massively as just the because people always say that, right? Like, how do I grow on TikTok? Well, it's very simple. You just have to put, very Gary V, right? Fucking post 3 times a day, find your niche, like do all that. Like, does that work, or is it just,
So I have no niche. I talk literally about everything.
yeah,
I work on cars, so I talk about cars. I do finance, so I talk about my financial experiences, losses, and everything. I do real estate, I talk about that. I do construction, I talk about that. I have a family, I'm Italian in America. I talk about I have no niche.
love it.
I just post a lot. And the people say, how are you able to come up with so many ideas? How many thoughts do you have every single freaking day, man? Tony, Tony, how many thoughts do you have a day?
More than 10. Yeah.
Yeah, let the thoughts prevail and just put them out. Even
Yeah.
if I mean, try to give some sense to them. Sometimes they
Sure.
don't, but
Yeah. Yeah. Dude, I have noticed that too. Like I'm even doing this thing where I started this new series just because everyone keeps asking me about it. Because I used to work for these big corporate companies back in the day, and
Yep.
through a lot of, long story short, I don't want this is you. I don't want to make this a Tony podcast because people hear my voice enough. But long story short, I got laid off at the worst time in my life last year, and I was doing this podcast thing on the side for quite some time, and it was monetarily, it was fucking nothing, right? I'm breaking even. So I'm like, if I don't have a job, maybe I go all in and start my own business. And I ended up doing that, last year, and I'm super stoked, and it's paying off, dividends. Everyone asked me, they're like, why is that better than working for a corporate job? So I started this whole new series, reasons why working for yourself is better than working for a corporate job. And I put a lot of time and effort and energy into like making the videos where I'll like change angles and I'll do it. And it's very sexy. It looks very good. I'm very proud of them.
Okay.
But then I'll like randomly fucking do a selfie video just talking about it. This is why. Like yesterday I did a video. I'm just walking my dog and I'm saying, this is why I did it, because of this and that and that. So just fucking work for yourself. Like I did that and got more views. And I'm like, all right, this is the thing. You just have to be yourself and not worry about. Yeah.
Just make it natural.
Yeah, that's it.
Why should you work for yourself? Hey, it depends. It depends. It's not for everybody.
No.
Tony, it's not for everybody. Guys, in a world that likes to point fingers, which is the United States, as young people, mamma mia, it's all about he, him, her, this, that. It's not for everybody, because if you're working for yourself, it's all your fault.
That's right.
Everything is your fault. Okay, if you're not willing to accept that, no.
100%. 100%.
No. To me, it was a slap in the face.
Yeah.
Because I could not point fingers. I was so used to the corporate world where, yeah, but the vendor and this and that, and la la la, you're always protected. Funny thing, when I left my job, I said, guys, this is your opportunity to give me the blame for anything, even stuff that has nothing to do with me, just to clean your record.
Yeah.
Man, my colleagues calling me, yo, you've been blamed even for stuff that the CEO should be blamed for. So I was like,
that's
so.
And listen, man, I mean, I don't know if you've consumed any content. We just talked yesterday, but I come from working like Fortune 500, okay, so typical America job. When you think of America, what do you think of? You think of trucks and fucking Coca-Cola, right?
Yeah.
And so I worked for Coke for quite some time. Coca-Cola,
Okay.
not Blanco. So I worked for Coke for 7-8 years. And then I got a job at Monster Energy. Badass Monster girls, just exactly what you want being in your 20s. And I was in the marketing department for almost a decade. And I got laid off out of nowhere. Didn't give me a notice, didn't give me anything. And they said it was because I was doing too much on the side. So the reason was the podcast. And, this is a company that they didn't give me any warning saying, hey, man, you're doing this podcast on your free time. Like, you need to calm down. Because I wasn't posting anything during work hours. I traveled a lot. But on the weekends, I would do my podcast and I would interview. And, they gave me limitations and said, hey, listen, if you want to do your podcast, you need to promote Monster only. You can't talk about certain topics. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that's not going to happen. So then they put me on this little hiatus, and then they ended up, letting me go. Give me a bunch of other bullshit reasons that contractually I looked back and I'm like, oh, I guess they could let me go if I decided to wear a blue shirt, and they didn't want me to wear a blue shirt. So these big corporations can let you go for anything.
You can do whatever you want.
Yeah, they don't give a shit. So I was like, all right, whatever. And I was getting paid a lot of money. And then I went to this other job paying me twice as much, bigger title, worked there for a year, loved it. And then they laid me off because of the pandemic. And I'm like, okay, this is a little squirrely. Everything there. Then I ended up having lung surgery last year. They found a tumor in my lung. Thank God it wasn't benign, right? So it wasn't cancerous.
Okay.
But I have a third of my lung gone now. And that was during the whole time where I was getting laid off at this last job. And then my father-in-law passed away the same week. And I'm like, okay, I'm not
when
very
it rains, it pours.
Yeah, dude. And I'm not a religious guy. We'll talk about that maybe some. But I looked and I'm like, okay, so if there is someone up there watching me, they're laughing at me. So they're telling me something. So I said, I'm going to go all in. I got money from these investments and, my real estate game. So I'm like, I'm going to go all in my business, because you're right, though. It's not for everybody, because everything is on you. But also, too, I looked at it like, everything's on me, but everything that's good is on me as well. Right? I really, after all that shit that happened with me, financially, physically, like all that stuff, the recovery that I had to go through, I'm still recovering, but I had a whole 6 months to really dissect my life. And, I am a little bit older. Not that I'm preaching, hey kid, you need to listen to this. All right. But I will say, when I was making 150 grand a year and I was decently happy, right? I was traveling a lot. I was kind of away from my wife. But when this happened, I didn't care about money. You want money, obviously, to survive. You need it. But then you start realizing, and you talk a lot about this on your channel, which is what attracted me to you, where we were doing Starbucks a couple times a week, right? I'm pretty good with like saving money. Like we have one car because we travel a lot, and we're pretty good at being frugal. But there was certain things that we were spending money on that was unnecessary. And I started looking at all that, and I'm like, what is important during this whole time? And I figured I don't want to make 150 grand a year because then I'll spend more. But if I can make 75 a year, pay my bills, take care of my family, but be like really happy with what I'm doing, I think that's the key. And sometimes we always think we want this big corporate job because why? We want the fucking Lambo. We want the big house. And if that's your gravy, get into it. That's cool. Nothing wrong with that at all. But there's a lot of us that I think just get pushed this idea of what we need and we got to have this, and mostly in America, as you know. Yeah.
It's coming to Europe too. I'm seeing that a lot too. I
What
did
do you
pretty
think
much
that
the
is?
same.
You think it's social
Huh?
media that's pushing it? Or is it just
Definitely,
like,
it definitely helps. If you
or
see the
maybe,
Lambo every day, you think everybody has a Lambo, and you're like, "What am I doing with my life? I'm a broke ass bastard. I suck." And then that's all you pursue.
yeah.
Yeah, no, it's very true. One of the hardest things to fight, especially in the society, is the FOMO. Guys here live on FOMO. Everything.
Fucking hate it. Yeah.
I do real estate and I do affordable housing. Yo, you'd be surprised how many times I would go see a house to buy, and in front of the house, a car that is worth more than the house is parked. Priority. What you're telling me is, dear owner of the house, your priorities are fucked.
Yeah.
Sorry for my French. That's the way I speak. That's
No.
that is also my whole TikTok. You don't want to know how I speak in Italian. It's even worse.
I can't wait. I got to learn it, and then we'll just talk shit. Yeah.
But yes, that was the best thing I've ever done in my life. When I moved to America, the first job I chose was being a car salesman for a Jeep, Chrysler, Dodge dealership, which can be the first car of the farmer or can be the 20th car of the millionaire. Okay.
Right.
So I got a good spectrum of American society, at least here in Virginia. And that's exactly what I saw. It's all about this lifestyle inflation when you cannot even finance a hot dog.
Right.
No, I had to beg customers to buy a used car. It's like, yo, you're digging your financial grave. Look at used cars.
Yeah.
I like your honesty, but I want a new car. Ma vaffanculo.
It's fucking wild, man. And dude, and that's the issue too. Like I don't know if my wife can hear me. Well, she's probably gonna listen to this. But that was our biggest issue when we first started dating. I had to like get her out because I've been a Jew for quite some time. And like even when I started like partying in my 20s, I knew that I could party more if I lived in a studio apartment and didn't do anything Monday through Friday. And my studio apartment back then was $750. Great place.
Okay.
Literally it just had 4 walls. I had to build very New York style. And it was in Orlando. And I was like, okay, so if I just like make money and don't spend it Monday through Friday, I could blow it all like Friday night, Saturday night.
And the weekend.
Right. And then I kept my expenses low. I had a Honda Civic and it was used. And like, I was like, but my perception was a little wrong because I was like, well, let me make all the money so I could spend it. Right. And then eventually I was like, wait, I'm making enough money. Why don't I just save it for like 6 months and buy a house? That's what I ended up doing. But then when I started dating this broad, she's like, let's just go out and let's do this. Let's do dinner. I'm like, all right, listen, here's my goals. Like if you want a house and you want to, get half my assets eventually when we're married, we got to change your perception a little bit of how we're doing things. So, but that's,
you know, what's the trick?
What's that?
Learn how to cook better than the restaurants.
Fuck yes. Speaking to the choir. Yeah. Hell yeah. Tell me about it.
Best dates of my life were me cooking for the ladies.
That's right. Well, and you're already at the house, which is the goal.
Let's not go deeper in this conversation.
That is the goal. And dude, and
Yes.
that's still the thing. Not that it helps me now that I'm married with a kid on the way, but I still cook better than my wife. And that was the big selling point for her was I can cook better food than, going out and spend. And by the way, I talk a lot about this on my podcast because I talk about health and wellness and stuff, but everyone's touching your food. It freaks me out. And I'm sure this is even more disrespectful for you because I'm sure over in Italy, you can actually see who's cooking your food most of the time. Or it's less people, I would say. But in America, I feel like you got the cook in the back, and then you got like the food runner, you got the server, you got the bus boy, you got the janitor. Like there's so many moving parts in a restaurant. And this is like if the food is fresh and makes it to the restaurant. But in America, we ship like our avocados from California and the oranges from Florida. And there's so many people. Yeah, man. There's so many people touching the food versus like I had a buddy that just went to Italy. He's telling me stories of like some restaurants out there like grow their own veg.
Yep.
And then they just pick their basil and throw it on the pizza from that. Like you don't see that in America. Like
we
what?
We call it the 0 kilometer economy. Like everything is picked up local.
That's beautiful.
I love it. I love it. When I go to my grandma, she has the whole garden with veggies and everything.
Oh, she's out there? What part?
Abruzzo. Abruzzo is on the east coast of Italy, but same height of Rome.
Oh, wow. Beautiful. Yeah. And of course, I know it's not as, like you can't sustain that in America because we have, 33 million people here. So I get that aspect. But also, too, it's because we want to shove food in our fat faces all the time. So we have to like create these ways to process food and make more food because we eat it too fast because we're so gluttonous. It's disgusting.
So, you know what? There's a beautiful conversation that always pops up on my comment sections. The fact that the pasta is not healthy. Italians, the stereotype is we eat a lot of pasta. Yes, we do. It's true. Okay. That is true. Like you can say it, it's fine because it's true. You're not lying.
Yeah.
We're made of pasta, wine, and coffee. You know why people say that pasta is unhealthy? The average pasta portion in America is twice the size the average pasta portion in Italy. Of course it's freaking unhealthy. You're eating twice as much. When you said shoving the food up my face, you just pinpointed perfectly.
Yeah. And that's with everything, right? Like even bread. I mean, like my father, he makes his own bread. There's 3 ingredients. But if you go and look into like any bread company or any package in America and you look on the back, it's like 72 ingredients and you can't even pronounce them all.
Yeah, they probably put asbestos in it. I don't know what the hell they put in bread here.
Yeah, man, it's fucking crazy. But man, I mean, I don't have to tell you, but my dad's bread, my dad's pot, like that is the best, food. And you can eat a plate of it and you don't feel disgusting. But like when I go to like a Italian restaurant in America and I have just one plate of their food, I'm like, oh, I feel so full. And that's because we just shove it with a bunch of processed bullshit. So if you're cooking your own food, of course you can eat as much as you want, which is why you damn Italians are so skinny, but you eat like crazy. It's because it's all fresh and it's all real ingredients,
There is another big factor which started popping up now, and I agree fully. The water. So the water in Italy, and I'll tell you from the perspective of a Roman, because I lived in Rome, a lot of our, how do you call them, aqueducts? Aqueducts, yeah. A lot of our aqueducts are still the original Roman aqueducts. They're running on stone. The water is being filtered on a mile per mile. It's all being filtered by stone, which leads to really good water.
I did hear about that.
When I come here, it's a lot of the tap water here is purified water from all the purifiers in the different cities. And there's a lot of chlorine and stuff. And I feel that has a big impact. I'm not a medical guy, but...
I agree. I think you're right. And I could tell you this from... I could tell you from experience, too. I don't know if... Do you have your own home or you got an apartment?
I have my own home.
So the only reason I ask is, so I've never had all the houses that I've lived in, that I've had myself and with my family, I've never had, especially in Florida, cleaner water than I do now because I got one of those massive water softeners and infiltration systems and reverse osmosis and all that. And when they first come out, they do, and I don't know if it's rigged or not, but so he tests a bunch of water. He had like a Dasani bottle of water. He tested that in front of me, and then he tested my tap, and it was filled with chlorine, like more than the
Yep.
level of what you should have.
Yep.
And I'm like, come on, bro. I was like, is this like, one of those like, you know how Orkin vacuums used to do door-to-door sales, and they like, fake spills and then clean it up in front of me. I was like, is this real, bro? Let me see. Come on. And he tested Dasani water and bottled water, and it was all different, different levels. And I'm like, yeah, just put that shit in. Let's do it.
Yeah.
And it cost me a lot of money. I recommend everyone should do it no matter where you live. And you have the cleanest water you see. Your skin is way better. Your hair is more full. It's amazing. It's a game changer. And it's very fascinating because, I'm 30 something years old. So it makes me think, wait a minute. So for the past 29 years, I've had shitty water my whole life. I'm showering with chlorine water. I'm fucking washing my face with chlorine. It's not good for you. And we're just not smart enough, I think, to understand all this because it's just so much information. And you're like, no way. The government wouldn't allow us to drink this type of water. And I say to them, I go, have you been to Flint, Michigan? Yeah, they do. Okay. They don't give a shit. All right, bud?
I mean, you taste it. So again, I was used to the water in Rome. I come here and like, yo, this is swimming pool water. What the? So it's like,
Yeah.
they always told us never to drink the swimming pool water.
Right.
And
Of
one
course.
those people pee in it, but also for other reasons.
Right, exactly. And who knows what they're doing with the other water that we're drinking. I mean, and that's even more amazing. Like if you go to springs, like in Virginia, I don't know if you have any like, waterfalls or areas where you
Went
can
to
walk around.
Ginny Springs. I know Ginny Springs.
Ginny Springs, yeah.
Yes.
And you even do that, or like I've been to places like, Wyoming and like all these beautiful places that have springs, and you can actually drink that water, and it is a different level. And to your point about Rome, they got their own aqueducts because those waterfalls that you drink at the bottom of the spring, they're just getting filtered and mineralized by everything that's a part of the earth. And it's got its own filtration system, which is very fascinating because when you look at most water, I mean, I don't recommend you go drink out of the lake in the back of your house, obviously, people out there. But, if you find a good spring, you could see the filtration system in that water. And you're like, that's free. That's constantly running water. And yet here we are. We want to ingest, Dasani and smart water and all that bullshit. Yeah, dude, it's crazy. Do you notice, obviously, the food in Italy and the water? We talked about that. But is there anything that calls out to you that is the most frustrating thing about living in America versus living over in Italy? I mean, I'm sure you don't have time to talk about everything.
Nobody knows how to cook in this country. Few people. That really gets me angry. So
Yeah,
let me explain.
please.
Broke people in Italy are self-sufficient. Broke people of Italy are what we call here in America Renaissance people. So they know how to do a little bit of everything because the societal circumstances kind of force them to. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So you cook yourself, basic mechanics you know how to do yourself, you know how to get by in society. You're forced learning how society works to have a cheaper lifestyle because you cannot afford things. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I kind of got that from my family. I saw the growth of my family, but they started from a very, not saying low, but mediocre lifestyle. Like when there was a big purchase to be made, the families had to put some effort, do some sacrifice. Okay.
Yeah.
Here's the total opposite. I feel like here the less you have, the more obsolete you are as a human being. Does that make sense? The more you have to rely on other people or on the government or on and it has to do with food. So most people fast food. I have an entire TikTok series to debunk the fact that fast food is cheaper than cooking at home healthy.
Everyone
Okay,
look at that. Yeah.
because the amount of people that are convinced that taking your car, driving 10 minutes, waiting 10 minutes, eating there and driving back home is cheaper and more efficient than going to the grocery store once a week, know what you're buying, and learning how to cook at home. Okay, I have an entire series about it. Because a lot of people have this conviction.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's because they've been told, yeah? They've been told this for so long, they believe it now.
I don't know who the marketing genius was, but genius marketing strategy.
Genius.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, it makes me angry.
Yeah.
It makes me angry. But across everything, people don't know how to do an oil change, which in Italy is very normal. Or people don't know how to replace a tire, or how to fix a drywall patch. Cioè, come on, our houses in Italy are made of concrete. That's hard. You want to open a wall, you punch it here. Cioè, oh! You
Yeah.
don't need to hire a contractor. Just punch it.
Well, bro, you listen, man. You know why they do that, right? In America,
What? Why they?
why they make houses this way is because you can fuck them up, and you're going to have to get them patched up. It keeps everything going again. You know, in Italy, if some like there's houses in Italy, I would imagine in Europe that they're made of concrete and they've lasted 500 years. It's because but here, you know, you hang up a fucking poster of your family and there's a massive hole in the wall and you're like, oh, there's a hole in the drywall. Now I got to pay a repairman to come out and fix it. And it just keeps everything, you know, going.
Here's a huge misconception, because what you just said is what I get normally from Italians watching my Italian videos. Yeah, but your houses here are made of cardboard. Yes, but because they're made of cardboard, you can maintain them. Because if you maintain them, a house here can go forever. Because if you have bad wood, you take it out and you replace it.
That's true.
In Italy, yes, our houses are 1,000 years old, but because it's concrete, or even if it's the strengthened concrete with the metal, in most cases, after a while, you have to take them down and rebuild them new. You cannot maintain them like an American one. So, has pros and cons.
That's true. Well, and also, y'all don't have the weather that we have in America. So, like in Florida in particular, I can speak a lot to this, to where you don't want a concrete for the entire way, right? Because typically you won't be able to expand, renovate. There's just so much stuff going on. So you want that top portion of the base. Yes. You want it to be wood, drywall, things like that. Because we're always expanding and growing, and you know that's the issue. That's the reason why we can turn one block into having 1,000 homes constantly and changing. But
why is everything in America so big?
Even our people. Yeah, I don't know. It's gnarly.
Is it related to sizes or? Inverted to size. Sorry.
Probably. There's a lot of that. Yeah, man. I think it's just we have it's the perfect analogy for America as a whole. Because the average human being in America, I think it's something stupid like 60% of us are obese, and then 70% of us are deficient in like vitamin D and a lot of other vitamins and nutrients. A lot of that is the food, but it's literally the perfect analogy when you look at an average human being, what that person looks like, a silhouette, so to speak, of that person. And that person is overweight, is hunched over, is miserable, is just not the healthiest human being that they could be. And that is America. We're running things super fast, but we move super slow. We want everything now. We're super lazy. We don't like to be active and go out and be in nature. Like we've evolved to this, we went from thousands of years ago being these crazy chimpanzees that can jump through fucking trees to now it's like you can't even get a person off the couch to do exercise. It's fucking crazy. And in a short amount of time too, that's what's even more fascinating to me is when you look at like the evolution of our species, America in particular, and you look at us, we went from being so active and so, here's a great thing. Google 1950 beach view. Everybody, like they are beautiful. They all look like Brad Pitt from Fight Club. It's like, so in just 100 years, not even 80 years, we are just the most disgusting human beings that have ever existed. And the only thing I can attribute it to is the food, because that's the only thing that's changed in that amount of time.
Also the activity.
Yeah, exactly.
Most of the jobs went from something that was more manual to sitting on a couch and on a computer. Now we're working on home, so we're not even commuting, moving at all. So,
and the social aspect too of it. I feel like back in the day, like in the 50s, we used to go out and do these events, and we used to go to the country club and meet people, and that's just how I envision it, seeing from movies and stuff. But now you look at it like, obviously we're doing this podcast virtually, and it upsets me because I do a lot of my podcasts virtually and I fucking hate it, because my favorite thing to do is to meet someone face to face, to talk to them, shake their hand, laugh, hug. Like that type of social interaction, I feel like we've missed. Obviously, a lot of that is due to the pandemic, but we could easily get back to that now. But we're choosing not to because it's, I don't know, maybe it's easier. Maybe we don't have the energy to do it. But I think that's a lot of that too, is that social interaction you got to have with people that keeps you alive, that keeps you going. You know, the walking around, the talking, the meeting at a coffee shop and just shooting the shit for 2-3 hours. Like that's like the type of stuff we need. But we don't get that anymore.
How can I explain? I agree. It's because it's uncomfortable for people. I make you the perfect example. Every single job I did, I was loved, but I was also hated for one thing. I don't write emails. I call people. Hello, you little insecure moron. Tell me with your voice what you actually want. Well, hey, not even that. I FaceTime people. Show me your weak face and tell me. People hate it.
Dude, that's so funny. My friends my friends are the same way because they'll text me and then immediately when they text me, I'll either FaceTime them or I'll send them a voice memo. Like I don't text back.
Yes.
You know, like if they have an Android, I can't send them a voice memo, and I'm probably not really your friend if you have an Android. But if you have an iPhone, I'm FaceTiming you or I'm fucking voice memoing you, like one of the two. I'm not texting. We're getting away from that shit, you know?
Again, it's uncomfortable. Texting allows you to take your time to respond, read 25 times, make 25 different scenarios in your head.
Mm-hmm.
If you're used to a standard, you're going to keep to it. But if you're used to this different standard, it's going to portray throughout your entire life. So also going to a coffee shop and addressing random people out of nowhere, it will be much more difficult for you.
Yeah.
I talk about dating a lot in my TikToks. And the amount of people that ask me, how can I address her? It's crazy. Mostly on the younger side, but also the older side.
Yeah. And a lot of that can be misconstrued, right? In a text message. That's the problem too with that is, you know, if you're not using punctuation, you know, who knows how you're really wanting to say that and convey that.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's why I'm glad I'm not in the dating game anymore. Are you still in the dating game or you got a special someone you playing around? What are you doing?
I am, how can I explain? I'm always good with me. I'm always open to meet people. I'm single. I'm always good to meeting people, but I gotta be patient. Let's put it this way.
You gotta find the right person if you're gonna.
I'll tell you something. I don't know if you can put this on the podcast or not. As an Italian who dated in America, I believe that somehow someone messed up a lot of principles in this country. If you put it this way.
Oh yeah.
You can always find gems, so I'm not generalizing, but generally speaking, I see these beautiful women and then I start speaking with them and my arms fall off. It's like,
dude, it's a hard one, man. You ain't lying, bro. I don't know what it is. It's and you know, again, I think there's a lot of factors, but a lot of it is just what we're talking about, the laziness, the food, the social media. You know, everyone's like, all these girls think they're entitled. The guys don't know really how to handle a lot of stuff.
So both sides.
Yeah, it's
The
not
girls
just
are
on,
entitled. The girls are entitled because the boys who have nothing to do with their lives, the only thing they do is simping, give a lot of attention, and then create this kind of girl. So it goes both ways.
For sure. Yeah, and it's weird that it happened like at the same time too. You know,
it is
like,
because it goes hand in hand.
Right, that's right. Yeah.
It goes hand in hand. One is pushing the ego of the other is pushing the others down. The amount of people that put themselves on a pedestal in this country, on a pedestal they should not be on, and something again, you can choose whether you put or not, but you can. You have my permission.
Great. I'm putting it in because you're 100% fucking right. Yeah, it's
the amount of people I have to bring down from the pedestal, boys put them on. The amount of time I had to do it is crazy.
That's right. Well, dude,
because a lot of ladies get a lot of approval, and most men are used to rejection. That is the essence of who we are. It's the nature. Okay. When you reject a lady in this world, they go nuts because they're not used to it.
That's right. 100%. And you know, what I was going to say, because you kind of nailed it, is I got very lucky with my wife because my wife I met through a friend of a friend, but I knew that I was eventually going to marry her, I think, because I tried to buy her a drink and she refused.
I love it.
That
I
to me
love
was
it.
like, you know what I mean? Like, you never hear that. You never see that. It's always these broads that push their tits up and want a free drink, and the next thing you know, you turn around and they're gone. And you're like, this bitch, what? And then, of course, on the other side of the fence, guys, we ruin our reputation because we dress like slobs, we talk to women like shit, and then we think that we're owed that piece of ass. And we're not. Like,
That is a definition of a nice guy. I
Yeah.
did so many nice things. You owe me something. No, nobody
No.
owes you anything.
So we both got to work on both of ourselves. These men and these women, these are crazy, but there is a lot of gems out there. You got to find them. You got to sift through a lot of bullshit. I got lucky with my wife, but I mean, it took me fucking, whatever. I don't even know, 10 years of being on Tinder and going to bars. And, it's just, you had to sift through all the bullshit. It's rare out there. And I feel like it's getting worse. No? Do you see hope?
Yes.
It's a broad question, but
Do I see hope? So statistically, we know that 50% of men, that's something I read yesterday, a study I read yesterday, 50% of men are not even in dating game. Like they're not even interested in trying.
like not even
Okay.
interested in trying dating?
Not even interested in trying to meet somebody.
Wow.
Not even for like 1 day, 1 night
date.
things. Okay, that's how bad it is.
Wow.
On the other hand, 60% of women are in a relationship. The numbers are not matching. So either some men are not saying the full truth about how many people they're dating, or there is polygamy. Cioè,
Yeah.
I believe that we're gonna get to a point where after 50, life gets lonely, okay? And once people start realizing that, I believe the society will start changing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And there's
Yeah.
also the general belief in the society that everything you should do in your life is your career, which again, you prove the point when there's a beginning of the conversation. Your career can fire you anytime.
Yeah.
And they don't really care. I mean, yes, some they care, some they do, but generally speaking, you're always replaceable.
Yeah.
And people are focusing on that and on the actual creating
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, well, and I feel like people, like especially nowadays, are trying to create a lifestyle with what's around them versus focusing what's around them and making that your lifestyle. Meaning, like my friends, my family, my community, my neighbors, like that's my lifestyle. This is what's important, what I can control, right? Versus people try to go outside that bubble and bring in bullshit into their lives to make their lives more fulfilling, i.e., vehicles, clothes, purses, new iPhone, like all that type of shit you're bringing into your life. That's already really great because you're fucking alive, number one. But you're bringing in all this fake bullshit that doesn't matter. And that's collecting more debt. And we're using credit cards to buy more things to bring into that bubble. When really all you got to do is just look around. Just look around, man. Like it's fucking beautiful. What's around you? We're not embracing that life. We're trying to fill that void for whatever reason. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because we watched the Kim Kardashian for so many years.
Is you being dogmatized in this country on a daily basis in this life, in
Yeah.
this lifestyle. I don't think it's wrong. Consumerism, I don't think it's fully wrong. Let me make you an example. I used to work for Lamborghini. I believe that the majority of Lamborghini customers are buying a Lamborghini because it is embedded in by society. I
Mm.
made it, I need to buy a Lamborghini.
Right.
I believe that is wrong because you don't really need it. But then there's the people that are passionate about cars. Okay?
Right.
I race cars. I love cars. I would buy a Lamborghini and drive the crap out of it on a daily basis. I would not park in their garage. Does it make sense? I
Absolutely.
mean, I
Yeah.
I love them. I love them. I work on them. It's two different things. Like consumerism is good, but if you actually want to buy, like the question that people need to ask themselves, also when they're going out, do I want to do this, or
Mhm.
am I being pulled by somebody or something to do this?
Mm.
And you focus
Absolutely.
then on what you have around your family and everything. People in this country are very lonely, man.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, and
Very low.
it's. I mean, I love what you said too, because there is two types of people, right? The Lambo analogy is great because I forget the saying or who said it. I think it was some comedian or something, but they said, I realized when I first bought, it wasn't a Lamborghini, it was a Ferrari, gorgeous Italian car as well. But when he first bought the Ferrari, he realized that when he's in the Ferrari driving it, he didn't appreciate the inside, right? So why did he want the Ferrari? Well, he wanted the Ferrari because he saw the outside of it. But who sees the outside of the vehicle? Everyone else. But it sounds like, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but when you're inside a Lambo, you don't give a fuck about anything else. You love that vehicle. You love the sound. You love the feel. You love touching it. You love the inside of it. Yeah, of course, the outside is beautiful as well. But the only people that could see the outside are the people walking by. And some people like those looks that you get when you drive the Lambo. Versus you, it sounds like you don't give a shit about the looks. You care about the car. I think that's the difference. I think a lot of Americans just care more about the looks we get, which is why consumerism can be very dangerous. Because
this is to all American boys, guys. I pull more ladies in my 7-seater Chrysler Town and Pacifica van than when I drive my BMW M3. I'll tell you that. Okay. So it's not the car. It's not the car.
It's not the car.
It's not the car.
And you know how to
Especially when I
cook.
go to Target.
You know how to cook, kid. That's the thing. That helps. You grab the shitty van and you say, hey, listen, Toots, I know how to cook. Come on, come to my house. Let's go.
I don't know. Maybe I think because it gives some like responsible dad vibes. I don't know why, but like statistically, I can confirm this out of experience. The BMW does nothing. I drive it because I like it.
Yeah, but that's it.
That's
Though,
it.
yeah. Well, and it's the money. No, like it's the amount of money you spend per month. Like when we downsized from 2 vehicles to 1 vehicle, we have a Tesla now, which I only bought strictly for, savings. That's the only reason why. But it's fascinating when you realize that your insurance is lower, your car payment's lower, when you could either buy outright or, you get a used vehicle, whatever. But when you can lower your payments, that's the key. That should be the key to life, right? Like if you ask anybody overseas, over the pond, they could probably tell you, what's your monthly rent? The number they give you is going to be so low you can't even comprehend. How do you live? And that is because they don't have any payments. They're either buying things outright or they're doing everything themselves. That's the key, bro, is if you have a credit card and you want to buy something, don't buy it unless you got the cash. Use the cash. Credit card's great because you can build credit and that's how our society labels you. But if you don't have the cash to buy a new iPhone, don't fucking get a credit card and end up paying interest rate on it like a motherfucker, right? Just to get that cool thing. But that's our problem, right? Is we just don't have that mentality to think about it. Because when we downsized the 1 vehicle and we had an extra $700 a month, you take that $700 a month, you times that by 12, man. That's another house. That's the down payment on a house.
Well, that's a nice little luxury vacation in Italy.
Oof.
That's the thing. Priorities.
Yeah. How much is a nice little vacation in Italy? Like $5,000, $6,000 if I want to do a couple weeks?
Funny thing, I have a friend that is actually working on that, and her target range will be $5,000, which includes a driver for you, the place to stay, restaurants, and everything paid for. So
that's crazy.
Well, which by the way, $700 a month for the average car payment, which is a Kia Sorento. So you could have a luxury vacation in Italy for a couple of weeks, or you could be $700 a month in debt in a Kia. Is it really worth it? Is it really worth it?
Not for a fucking Kia.
Fuck no. No, I love Kia, don't get me wrong. But then there's the other thing. There's a big life advantage that I have. This I can call privilege, okay? The fact that I'm Italian. Because as an Italian, I come from a country where the average income is 1/3 of the American one. So when I come here, and the average income is 3 times as high, even if it's the average, when I first started working here, holy shit, I felt like the richest person. I felt amazing.
Yeah.
I felt amazing. It's you have a different point of view, and you come here and you're very grateful, so you take full advantage of it. That is a privilege. I can consider that a privilege, the different perspective. Also, because I lived in China, which was even worse in those
Mm.
terms. Australia was pretty similar to America.
Yeah, we got some work to do, man, here in America. I'm trying to do my part, you know.
Yeah, but
I'm
you're
just,
still the best country in the world.
well, according to us.
No, according to me too.
Yeah?
Why the hell am I living in Virginia if I could live in Italy? Okay, let me ask you a question. Okay, by fact, Italy is beautiful.
Yeah.
Why did I choose to come to America?
Opportunity.
Because I believe that for a young person, this is the best place to be.
Yeah.
It's not just opportunity. There's one thing that Americans have that is bloody beautiful. Okay,
Yeah.
you have an idea in this country, people push you to do it. People
Yeah.
push you to do it. People tell you, "Hey, let me invest with you. Hey, let me help out. I have this. I have that." You reach out to me. We want to do a podcast. I said immediately yes. Okay, stuff like this in Italy doesn't happen often. In Italy, you have an idea. Italian society bashes the entrepreneur, bashes the freelancer, hates ideas, and is generally very jealous.
Yeah.
People in Italy have dreams. By the age of 20, their dreams are destroyed. Number one is because society does not allow them to pursue them. Number two, because culture destroys them.
Mhm.
Oh, you never do it. It's crap. At this, at that. Just find a job. And by the age of 20, you're indoctrinated into looking for what we call the fixed spot, which is finding a job that you can do for the next 40 years. That's how Italy works. And then you come here, and although society is nuts in a positive way. People here have a dream until they freaking die, okay? And they try pursuing it. Yes, there are consumerism. Yes, there are problems. But you're dreamers until you die, and I love it. I love it. And you have opinions, and you back them with your guns. I love it.
It is the best.
Everybody, it is an extreme, okay? I can understand that, but I love it. It is a very strong culture.
No, there is nothing like it for sure. By the way, I could probably talk to you for 5 hours, but I won't keep it that long. But I think you nailed it, right? I think that's the thing. And of course, when I say is America the greatest, I think it is for sure. I will say this though. I have, after everything that I've been through, my perception has changed a lot. Meaning, when I was in my 20s, not saying that you're going to have this forever, but I did have a different mindset on everything. But when I started changing up my diet, focusing more on my health, did work that I love, which sounds like you love your work, so I think you're on the right path. But I just think the reason America is, to me, not the greatest is not because it's not the greatest for opportunity or greatest for everything you mentioned, which is dead on for sure. You can't get that anywhere else. I just think it depends on where you're at in your life. And for me, I feel like the rewards are not worth the headache. You don't get a lot of the bullshit that you do here in America. What do I mean by that? Well, I mean by when you walk outside, you don't feel like you're home. You know, like if you get away from your community and you drive on the street, right? If you go to a restaurant or a bar and you try to talk to somebody, it just doesn't feel like everyone's on the same page. It feels divisive. It feels like everyone's out to get each other. It's very greedy. And that's the reason we are the superpower, the number one country in the world, because we are greedy, rightfully so. I mean, we took this damn country, right? Like we stole it. So ever since then, we've been a very greedy country, and that's why we're so great at innovation. And there's so many great things that come out of America, but it's just so interesting how we don't have the mindset of like being number one should be not just free, not just be able to do whatever we want, be innovative, but also like we're just not the United States of America anymore. And that's what feels funky about it. Like when you get out of your bubble, I just don't feel like it's homey. It's the best. And that's what's kind of scary is I feel like we're getting more divisive and more, you know.
What is the United States of America for you? What represents it?
What does it represent? It's my home now. That's it. It doesn't give me anything that I don't think I can have anywhere else. I guess that's my thing because of where I'm at in my life currently. You know, like I'm able to do, like you said, I'm able to do a lot of the freelance and the creative stuff that I do that I probably wouldn't be able to do anywhere else. In fact, I'd probably get in jail in most countries, right? You go to like China and all that. But again, I look at like, I don't know, is it worth it? Like, would I be happier? The average American. Would you be happier being in a country like Italy or in Australia where, yeah, you can't have guns. Okay, I have guns. I believe in this.
But you can have a life.
You can have life. That's true. Yeah.
So
you know what I mean? Like
yes,
what's
I
the
agree.
payoff?
yeah, you gotta think of where are you in life, what are your priorities. But that's also a lot of my TikToks. It's like, do you just want to enjoy life and float by? Italy is amazing.
Yeah.
Do you have some kind of goal in life and want to get there as soon as you can? America, Dubai,
Mm,
Switzerland,
yeah.
Hong Kong, not anymore. It used to be free. Now it's next.
And who knows,
I used
like
to
in a
live in
couple
Hong
years
Kong.
where it's going to go.
Yes, I used to live in Hong Kong. Hong Kong was my spot in China.
Oof.
I agree. Divisive a lot. I use the fact that I'm an immigrant as my, let's say, politically correct shield to talk about stuff that nobody wants to talk about, okay, or everybody is afraid to talk about. And
Love it.
the general, I like to look at both sides. I'm one of the people who read the manifesto and the Mein Kampf. Okay, so the two opposites of okay,
Left and right. Yeah.
yes. Also because I went to a German school, so I wanted to learn the ins and outs. That's my background. I speak German better than Italian,
Oh, nice.
and you start learning how bloody the same both sides are. They just have different means to get there, but somehow marketing genius or somebody was able to divide both. Okay, that's what I hate,
Yeah.
and it's not nice.
Yeah.
That's the perfect way to control people.
For sure. Yeah. Well, and I talk about this a lot on my show, not just physical health, mental health, financial health. That's kind of the three pillars. But a big thing I talk about in America, there is a left and a right. But when you're more centrist and when you're independent, everything is like so much better. Like the ideal country to me, the United States of America, would be everyone is independent. We don't have a two-party system, but unfortunately our government would not profit off that idea.
It
And
has pros and cons.
of course, yeah, I mean we've tried it time and time again, right? There's tons of countries, Italy in particular, German, Russia, like
14 parties, and it's
yeah,
a mess. We
it's a
had
mess.
60 governments in 70 years. It's a mess. Trust me. It's a mess.
And it's not something you could solve in a couple centuries. It's going to take a long time to even figure it out. So I don't even know if we're going to figure it out in our lifetime. I don't think we will, but I know Joe Biden's not the answer. I know Trump's not the answer. I know, but the issue that I find is every time I talk to my buddies, I've lost friendships these last couple years. I'm sure a lot of people have, for people that see too far left and too far right. And it's fascinating when you just don't watch the news. And this is what I mean, like United States of America. It's even more fascinating because we try to bring in all this outside noise that I was saying in your bubble. But when you live in that independent world that I have for quite some time, and you don't focus on Fox News or CNN or, who's president, who's that, because at the end of the day, like whoever is president here doesn't matter. It just doesn't. The way our Congress is set up and legislate, it just doesn't.
No.
Nothing gets passed. And the perfect example of that is that's right. The perfect example is during the pandemic when there was all these rules and regulations. In Florida, Ron DeSantis did whatever the fuck he wanted to do. So he literally did the opposite of what the president wanted him to do. And he didn't get reprimanded for it. We just lived as citizens. And it was great. I love DeSantis. A lot of pros and cons as well. But at the end of the day, it's kind of cool to live in that country. But then I also look at it like, okay, people don't talk about this enough, to where the president gave an order. And governors
say, nope.
Nah, I'm good. Okay, so hold on. So wait a minute. So with abortion, with gun laws, with everything. So if the president just decides to do something one day, people don't have to listen. So why do us Americans get so passionate about these subjects when we have no control over it? You could vote all you want. Get the fuck out of here. That doesn't mean anything, because if you put the best president in the world in America, it's gonna take a mountain to move anything in this country, and even still, we won't be happy.
The only way to move this country is to entrepreneurship. So, let me make you a perfect example. Everybody was talking 10 years ago. Everybody was talking about how we should move to the next technology of cars. If Elon Musk didn't create Tesla, we still would be fully gasoline.
That's right.
Because when Elon Musk created Tesla, at the beginning, nothing. But as he grew, he started putting a dent in automotive. And so automotive had to follow. If the government would have said that we need electric cars, nothing would have moved.
Well, look at NASA,
Housing,
what he did with SpaceX, too. Great
yes.
example.
Housing is expensive. You don't help housing with government programs. You help housing by putting in money in construction and creating more supply. Maybe with government incentives, but not government laws.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, I think the when you asked me before, United States of America, what does that mean? I think the perfect America to me would be government only controls things that, maybe it's parks, maybe it's roads, things like that. But even that, I don't fully agree with, because I think all that stuff should be privatized. I think we should rent out bridges and roads and charge big companies to do that. So like I think we should have the Verizon San Francisco Bridge, because then Verizon would maintain it, because it's branding all over it. I'm okay with that. I'm okay to have every single road and building branded like crazy, because the fact that the government touches so much of our lives, not only can they control it, but they're able to fuck it up a lot easier. And I feel like they've fucked up a lot.
About the public pension system in Italy, or what is happening now to France.
Oh my God, yeah. Talk about a passionate people. Good for them.
Yeah, I mean, you're giving all that power to the government. The government does some decisions, and people go nuts.
Yeah,
but the government can do it.
Yeah, and I feel like the government's slowly been picking away at America. Like they're playing the long game. Like, oh, we're just gonna sneak in this abortion bill.
It's a marathon. It's a marathon. It's not a race. Do it thoroughly, so you change an entire thing.
Yeah, man. But other than that, I mean, hell, if we weren't in America, we wouldn't be able to do this right now. So
exactly.
It's exciting.
Funny thing, but today somebody commented, "Why do you allow all these negative comments on your videos? Block these people." I'm like, because as somebody who has some tricky conversations, I should allow people to say what they think, which means also bashing me. It's totally fine. It sucks.
Yeah.
But if you're exploiting freedom of speech, you should allow everybody to speak.
Absolutely. Yeah, you just can't silence one side just because you don't agree
with
it.
Then I'm doing censorship. That doesn't work. That's stupid.
And that's kind of what the government's been doing. No? In some cases.
Canada mostly. America not yet. We'll see.
That's right. Yeah. Jesus. Yeah. Hopefully it doesn't. Hopefully, as long as we don't get into this this currency system that I'm kind of worried about, like
CBDC.
Yeah. Like if it's something kind of like what China does, I forget what it's called.
China has the social credit score. I don't think you're gonna be able to post this one on TikTok. You know what the social credit score is?
Yeah. That's what's scary. And didn't what was that app that the government just rolled out here?
Fed Now, something like that. By the Federal Reserve.
That's scary, bro.
Yeah, it's the new Venmo.
Yeah, and it was more scary because that was like slowly kind of rolled out. Like it was like, boop. I'm like, what are you doing here? What, are they going to slowly next thing you know, you run into like a Starbucks and they're like, oh yeah, we don't take credit cards, but we take Fed Now. You're like, what? What is that? It's going to be scary.
I don't know. There is there's also multiple things happening, like the entire world trying to get away from the dollar. So if you keep the dollar more free instead of making it more central, maybe people are incentivized to stay. I don't know.
That's right.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
On that, I have no idea.
Yeah.
As you say in America, we gotta fuck around and find out.
That's right. And that's what I mean, right? Like, is if you don't think about that stuff too much, your life doesn't change a lot. It's good to know that type of stuff for sure, because you want to evolve and you want to change. But yeah, when you look at like what China and Russia and is it Iran, like what's the currency they're putting together?
The BRICS nations.
Yeah, exactly. That to me is like, okay, well, maybe we won't be the biggest superpower in the world again. But as long as everything else, you know what I mean? Like as long as it's this ego that we have of like, we are number one. So you should do what I say, China. You should do what I say, Russia. There's a little bit of that. I get it. But also too, I mean, a lot of things don't change on our end in terms of like freedoms and, if nothing changes, okay, cool. If you don't want to use our currency, no big deal. As long as it doesn't affect us too much. But I don't know if it's going to go that way.
It will affect us.
So we kind of have to get out of that mindset of like, we are the biggest superpower in the world.
We can still America can still remain a superpower in the world if they focus a little bit more on diplomacy, I believe.
Yeah. That's a hard arm to twist. That's for sure.
Because changing an entire system takes a lot of effort. If you're being nicer, it's like comfort. If you're being nicer, if you're being a little bit more respectful, a little bit more diplomatic, people will be less likely, countries, to stand up from the couch and try to change the situation because they're a little bit more comfortable.
Yeah, that's right.
But that's my stupid opinion. Who am I to speak?
Yeah, man, fuck that. It's a great opinion to have. That's what I always tell people is you won't be able to fix the world, but you could fix your block. That's what I always tell people.
Yes.
Like, if every single person just focuses on their cul-de-sac and their block, that's a good start. But we don't like to do that right away, do we? We like to change everyone's mind, and we try to fix things overnight, and it's gonna take time.
Tony, thank you.
On that note,
no, I love it
dude,
here.
It's great. It's great.
I'll also become American soon. I'll tell you that. So
yeah, how long you got?
I've been here 5 years, so I can apply.
Oh, great. Yeah, that's right.
And I will apply.
Good for you, man. We're happy to have you. I think I could speak for everyone in America and Virginia. We're happy to have you.
Restoring houses one bidet at a time. Yes, that's what I'm doing. I'm adding bidet to all the houses that I'm restoring.
Yeah, as you should. Good for you. I got one. Hell yeah.
Cleaning people's asses.
Figuratively and literally. All at once.
Yes.
Well, listen, man, this has been a blast. Again, I'll leave all your links below, but do me a favor, give everyone a quick shout out of your social media channels, what you're working on, all that jazz for me.
The only one is Yashi Project on TikTok and YouTube. It's Jashi, which is the American version of my name, Yashi.
I love it. Nah, this is great, man. It's a good time. And listen, man, if you got some time when you come to Tampa, hit me up. We'll connect after this, and maybe we can make some time to do this in person.
Perfetto.
This
Tony,
good
thank
chat, man.
you.
Hey,
grazie mille.
Grazie, prego. Appreciate you, brother.
Have a beautiful day.
You too, my friend. Enjoy that coffee, huh?
Ciao, ragazzi. Ciao. Ciao, ciao.
Ciao, buddy. Oh, hey there. First of all, thanks for making it to the end of this video. Not a lot of people do, according to the YouTube analytics, but I do want to say thanks for listening to this. There's some more episodes if you want to check those out, and they're all just as good. But if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Check out those timestamps below to reference some of the topics I talked about, as well as some discount links to some of our sponsors and affiliates. But thanks for listening to this episode, and we'll see you next time.